The whitest black woman has been discovered. There's a new discovery upon Papua New Guinea. No, it's
Hang on. Is this some sort of Elizabeth Warren thing?
kind of.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Elizabeth Warren checked her DNA and found out it was not Pocahontas.
More white than the average European.
Yeah, whereas this black woman who has dedicated her life to bringing down Whitey
Oh yeah.
might have been the whitest person alive, it turns out.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Did she do a 23andMe?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Results were not pretty.
Okay.
We'll start off just by mentioning something else, which is the cyberpunk dystopia episode.
This is what genetic sequencing has done.
Yeah.
It's brought us into the cyberpunk dystopia where black people can't even be black anymore. Turns out the black people are descendants of slave owners and need to pay themselves reparations. Is that where we're going?
Can't even be a black nationalist anymore.
God damn it.
Life has been ruined by the Industrial Revolution. But, you know, if you hate your own flesh, you can go and check out Am, of course.
Yeah,
I have
fantastic as well.
have no
I've
mouth
got
on
the
this
next
screen.
one in the works. It's going to be good.
But we'll start off just by a check-in with the United States. How you doing, buddy? Well, we have the press secretary who has come here to tell us that the cabinet is now majority people of colour for the first time in history. The cabinet is
Amazing.
majority female for
Amazing.
the first time in history. A majority of White House senior staff identify as female. They identify as it.
Yeah.
And a record 7 assistants of the president are LGBTQ+.
So the cabinet is minority LGBTQ+.
Yeah, but I mean, what is this?
But no. What this is telling me is that the LGBTs are being oppressed by the cisgender, normal straight women and black women who are running the U.S. government.
Okay, and if we leave...
No, we need more queers.
If we
We
leave
need more queer
liberalism
representation.
in the dust
Nope,
to die...
more queer representation in the Biden administration, or they're racist.
Such a libertarian.
Yep.
Anyway, so really what this is the United States doing its thing, which is saying...
What is this?
But this is what the United States
It's
is,
true,
man.
yeah.
Like, from outside of the big gay global American empire, people...
Everyone's listening to Vladimir Putin, aren't they?
Yeah, you go listen to Vlad, and he'll tell you that the West is run by nonsense, and they check in with Xi, who will tell you you're all oppressed. You go to Bashar al-Assad.
And then you check in with the Biden administration, and you're like, well,
Yeah, and then you go back to the West. So what have you got to offer? Is like intersectionality. Could you not be a little bit better? No, says the United States.
it's just like normally when people clip this woman, they put the clown face filter on her, and it works so well.
Yeah, my point being that intersectionality is achieving its goals. I mean, on the international stage of the global superpower, I mean, this is the statement you get out of the United States at this point. And yeah, I know it's comical within, it's also comical without, to an extremity. But we'll check in with the story I want to go through today. The subject of our tale of betrayal by science.
Look at that bio.
Yeah, Angela Davis over here.
Is an American Marxist and feminist political activist, philosopher, and academic and author. And she's a professor. What books has she authored?
Why Your Life is Ruined by White Cisgendered Hetero... I don't care. I'm not going to read them.
Studying under the philosopher. She's a student of Marcuse.
Yeah.
Right,
Frankfurt School.
okay. I
University
see.
of Frankfurt.
Yeah. She's one of his revolutionary students. Amazing.
Specialised in women's studies,
Of course she did.
ethnic studies,
Of course she did.
Marxist Black Panther,
What a
and
surprise.
now an intersectional critical race theorist. So,
Shock.
local woman who wasted her life is now 79. Complete waste of life. No, nothing has been achieved with that. I'm not going to rub anything about it. That's just how it is.
Was she actually a violent revolutionary as well?
Depends on if you believe the FBI. So,
Yeah, I mean, a good point. I might not believe the FBI, to be honest.
yeah, so there's that's her life, right? And this individual is a joke. I mean, in any other time and place in our modern era, if we look at a 20-year-old with coloured hair
Yeah.
who's screeching about white people, this is her, except born in 1944, and didn't do the sensible thing of like, maybe I should not be treated differently because of the colour of my skin. No, she went with Revolution Now. Let's just overthrow the whole system because communism.
Yeah.
And well, what a waste. We'll go to an interview she gave, just to give a flavour of who this individual is before I release the 23andMe results. So, scholar Angela Davis.
Look at the title. Prison abolition, justice for Palestine, critical race. Oh, God.
all the talking points.
Oh,
The same goddamn things.
yeah.
This interview is largely boring, and the audio is terrible, so I'm not going to play the video. Instead, I'll cut to the interesting parts, which is the interviewer asks her, "You went on to become a prominent member of the Communist Party USA, a leader of the Black Panther Party. And you were targeted by the FBI at one point." Yeah, I wonder why.
How did this happen to me, of all people?
The The FBI had you on its list of the 10 most wanted fugitives in the United States. Yet today, some of the loudest voices within the young radical resurgence in America, especially on college campuses, are people like you.
It tells you everything you need to know, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big...
God.
The United States used to have people like this on the top 10 fugitive list
And now they're front and center as the mainstream public intellectuals.
of the United States.
The United States has been conquered by these people.
I mean, like, I don't know if Americans know, but you get American universities all around the world. Like the American University of Cairo, the American University of London, blah, 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 blah. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
And that is a tentacle of this, which is the ideology going through the college campuses,
Yeah.
where front and center herself here,
Yeah.
Miss Angela. Well, she responds, well, yes, yeah. I'm very disappointed that we don't have more capacious public understanding of what it means to stand up against racism. There's not enough. Yet. That racism is the very foundation of this country, based on colonialism and slavery. And that means, in the very first place, it is important to recognize the connections between indigenous peoples and peoples of African descent. It is not possible to tell the story of peoples of African descent in the Americas without also telling the story of indigenous people. I am a Native American. I am Pocahontas, says Angela. So yeah, it is more Elizabeth Warren than I remembered.
Okay.
So-
Yeah.
I am the same thing, and that's why I need to destroy the United States, because they're killing my people who are Indians.
Right.
Sensible human being. The interviewer asked another question. Angela, I wanted to ask you about the latest news. North Dakota's Republican governor, Doug Burgum, has... What a name. It's just Doug Burgum over there. Has signed legislation banning the teaching of critical race theory.
Yeah, good.
So she says, well, Amy, I think that we are witnessing at this moment is a profound clash between forces of the past and the forces of the future.
It's not wrong.
She goes on to deny that it's being taught in schools, but banning it being taught in schools is censorship.
It's not happening.
But if you stop it from that, you're censoring us from
You're a
doing
bad person if you stop it, yeah.
it. Right.
Yeah.
She then goes on, any discussions about slavery...
Just a quick thing. This is the trans issue. We're going to ban transitional kids. They're not transitioning kids, but also you can't ban it. What difference does it make to you?
Transition
Yeah,
kids.
exactly. What difference does it make to you? Yeah. Okay, yeah, fair enough.
She says, by any discussions about slavery as the foundational element of this country are being barred, even though it's not happening. According to the proponents of the removing, quote, critical race theory from schools. It's not happening, but you're stopping
Yeah.
us. But again, twice she's mentioned now, the foundations of the United States is racism,
Yep.
and the foundation of that is slavery. The United States is founded on slavery, which, it's not history, but
But
okay.
how does the United States exist now without slavery?
Who knows? But let's not be misled by the term they are using. What we are witnessing are efforts on the part of the forces of white supremacy, First Order, to regain control of what they more or less had in the past.
Palpatine has returned.
Somehow.
yeah.
So I think that's absolutely essential to engage on these kind of efforts to prevent them from consolidating a victory in the realm of education. Damn First Order. Banning racism from schools and... And of course, those of us who are active on the abolitionist movement...
What?
I don't...
You're about 150 years too late. What
Yeah.
are you talking about?
I don't actually know what she's referring to. I
She's
think,
talking about prison abolition.
Yeah.
They've stolen the word abolitionist to mean prison abolition.
yeah, she
'Cause
says
that's- yeah.
abolitionists to see education as central to the process of dismantling the prisons.
Because I tell you what, man, when some guy goes on a rampage, shoots like 20 people, the last place you want to put that guy is a prison.
No, he needs woodworking.
Restorative justice. He needs to go and speak to the victims, the families of the victims.
We're going to teach him how to be a gunsmith, and then he'll stop killing people. As central to the process of imagining new forms of safety and security that can supplant the violence of the police.
I love this. We're going to imagine a better solution. Oh, could you? Are you? Oh, are you? That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Yeah, I've got this fancy world in which people don't go on rampages and we don't need police. Don't you want to live there? It's like, I mean, I'd love to, but
I don't want. I don't.
no,
want.
I don't.
The 79-year-old Black Panther has come up with Imagine. That's a life well spent. But that end point there. Then we're going to imagine new forms of safety and security.
Brilliant. Oh, brilliant.
supplanted
You
with
can
the violence.
imagine it all day long.
So re-educate young people into BLM warriors is what
Yes.
you say. We'll get back to that subject in a bit. And there's the reason I mentioned it. But the rest of the interview is kind of boring because she goes on to whine about how there's fascism in the White House. There's also fascism literally everywhere. All of Europe is fascism.
Just as a quick thing, I just don't understand this stigmatization of the police. Like, okay, the police are tools of white supremacy to oppress black people. So yeah, but the white neighborhoods have police too.
But you know what's funny about that is because, of course, she's living in the Cold War era. Is the militia in Russia not racist. But the police in America, white
Oh,
supremacy.
yeah, I
needs to
bet
be-
the Russian police are just.
But
I bet they're all angels.
I just find that hilarious when you ask them about the police of the Soviet Union. They're just like, well, they're not racist. Okay.
You're right, yeah.
But she goes on to say that the fascism controls the United States. Fascism controls Europe. Fascism controls whatever
Fascism,
country.
the most successful ideology of the 20th century,
Yeah.
apparently.
She then goes on to whine about the Zios in Palestine.
Oh, does she? Right, okay.
Left winger. So. She's not actually talking about Palestinians. She doesn't give a crap about them. She just wants to
No.
hate the Zios. Is okay. So completely captured by
I
ideology.
just love the idea that the entire West is actually fascist.
Yeah, but you
It's so demented.
like her world is so simple and so perfect. The whole world is 2 pixels,
yeah,
and
communism or fascism.
you're either part of the proletariat or the bourgeoisie, the
Yeah.
people or the corporations, or white versus black. That's it. That is the entire world on any given topic. And she seems to
The
gone.
United States just apex fascist countries. What are you talking about?
She's gone through the full spectrum. She's come at the end of her life. You know,
Yeah.
a life well spent in nonsense.
Yeah.
As,
I mean, look at her though. She looks well fed. She looks healthy. She's got a nice house.
Oh.
She's done very, very well out of
oh,
this.
she
career.
was born into it.
Oh, was she? Right. Okay.
But she's ended up as a
Is it-
race socialist at the end of her
Right.
life.
Right. Yeah.
And well, she's defining whiteness, as you saw there, as the foundations of the United States, whiteness.
Oh, yeah.
down there. Describing it as proximity to slavery, racism, so forth.
You know what's not whiteness? Italians. And
No.
ergo fascism.
No, they're not. But she's not of Italian descent.
No.
No.
But fascism is.
Not
Therefore, it's
even,
not
of
white.
Not even of Sicilians. Let's go to this lady, because she did the 23andMe.
Go on, then.
This is what I've been waiting for. Let's enjoy her discovery.
Any idea what you're looking at? That is a list of the passengers on the Mayflower.
No, I can't believe this. No. My ancestors did not come here on the Mayflower.
Your ancestors came
No.
on the Mayflower.
No.
You are descended
No.
from one of the 101 people who sailed on the Mayflower.
Oh no.
That's a little bit too much to deal with right now.
Did you ever, in your
goofed herself.
wildest dreams, think that you may have descended from people who laid
Never.
the foundation
Never.
for this country?
Never.
The whitest black woman, ladies and gentlemen.
I love how she oofed herself.
I mean, she couldn't get more, in the proximity of the foundations of the United States than if she came over on, I don't know, the Roanoke colony or something. I don't know. Came over on the goddamn Mayflower. We'll go into some more deets, because, of course, the question arises, because she spent a lot of her life talking about reparations.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Matt Walsh noted, it gets better, because she's also descended from slave owners. Well, when you go back to the Mayflower.
Some big oofs coming here.
I think there's going to be some awkward dinner conversations. So, not only is she descended from slave owners, her father's side is also a pilgrim. On her mother's side, who was a slave owner, looks like Angela Davis owes some reparations, presumably to herself, said Matt Walsh. Correctly so. Davis became nationally known in the 1970s when guns she owned were used in holding up of a Martin County courtroom in California, which left 4 dead, including the judge, back in her Black Panther days.
Man, these colonists have got to be stopped.
Yeah, the FBI issued a warrant for her arrest. I've ended up getting her, and she spent 16 months in jail before being found not guilty, which I'm sure, with the technology of the time, great. Do I believe? I don't believe the FBI. Davis was born in Birmingham, Alabama, in 1944. And you think, okay, that's a hell of a place to be brought up.
Yep.
Would have gone through Jim Crow struggles as a working class black woman in the fifth. No. Do you remember her bio? University of Frankfurt.
She was in Germany.
Yeah. She didn't experience much of this. She spent her life studying in West Germany.
Good point.
University of Frankfurt was just one of the West German universities she attended in her
Oh,
life.
really?
She didn't spend her youth being oppressed by the white man in segregation Birmingham, Alabama. No, she spent it gallivanting about in the Germans.
She sails off to Europe waving to Jesse Lee Peterson on the...
Yeah. Bye-bye. I'm going to go and learn about communism and then come back to the motherland with no real connection to the people in the land in which I'm talking, but instead theories
Yeah.
that some Frenchman has told me.
Yeah.
Of all things. Anyway, she spent her entire life in the 50s, seemingly being quite middle class.
Yeah.
And then she mentions in this article William Brewster, who travelled abroad to the boat with his wife Mary Wentworth Brewster, were both on the Mayflower, and Davis's 10th great grandfather. Mary, his wife, was one of the only 5 adult women from the Mayflower who survived the first winter after arriving in the United States. One of the only 4 such survivors until the first Thanksgiving.
Oh,
in
yeah, no,
1621.
Right, that's really interesting as well, because that ties her personally to the founding mythology of
Yeah.
the United States.
And Mary is in mythology. Well, sorry, not mythology. I know it's mixed up with history. It is history.
No, but the sort of
Yeah, yeah.
mythological, Thanksgiving, this is why we do the tradition,
I get your point. I just didn't want to say it was fake.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
real. In 1621, Mary, so this lady's great grandmother over here, helped the cooking. She was doing the cooking
really?
at Thanksgiving, the first ever Thanksgiving.
My goodness.
Davis also made discoveries about her mother, Sally Bell, who was found to be the daughter of a successful white Alabama lawyer who himself descended from a slave owner.
And what, did he marry a black woman, did he?
That middle class upbringing. Where'd you get the money for that? That's something I would also want to know, because in those days, in order to achieve that power, one had to thoroughly embrace white supremacy. I'm both glad and angry. I'm really, really angry, she added, in finding out that the reason she was at the Frankfurt School is because of white supremacy over there from Alabama. Alabama.
That is gold, actually. That is genuine gold.
As Gates went back further through time, things got a bit muckier. Stephen Dardan, her 4th great-grandfather, was born in colonial Virginia around 1750. He was a patriot who played the drums during the Revolutionary War, according to a muster roll. Afterwards, he moved from Virginia to Georgia, where he owned a farm and at least 6 slaves.
Okay.
Muckier and muckier.
Oh, no.
It gets worse.
Oh, no.
I always imagine
How can it be this bad, though? Like, what are the odds?
She's like, the foundations of the United States are the worst thing ever. The people who did it are disgusting, racist, white
And I'm
supremacists.
directly descended from all of them.
I hang on a minute. There's a lot of race mixing there as
But
well.
these are like, this is the patriot narrative of the United
yeah,
States.
she's there at the Mayflower. She's there at the Thanksgiving.
Is she
You know,
descended from any slaves?
don't know.
We haven't got any evidence of
I
it.
don't know.
We just assume because she's black that she must have slave ancestry.
It might have been African. It doesn't
Well,
mention.
that's the point.
Oh God.
Like, because if was it her father who married a black woman? There's no saying that she was necessarily.
African American.
Yeah,
She could just be.
she could be an immigrant.
Oh no, oh no. I always imagine my ancestors as the people who enslaved, she said. My mind and my heart have been swirling with all these contradictory emotions.
But I mean, no wonder she oofed herself, because that is just
All my theories.
yeah. My giant stack of BS. It's just come tumbling down.
I'm glad, on the one hand, we've begun to solve this mystery, this Scooby-Doo mystery, and we have something that we didn't have before, but at the same time, I think it makes us even more committed to struggling for a better world. She's in the denial
This
stage.
is massive cope, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll get to the
Christ.
subsequent stages of grief as we go through it. But the thing is, her granddaddy, the one who owned the slaves,
Yeah.
what do you think he did in his spare time?
Played golf?
The first letter's correct. He liked to dress up as ghosts.
Oh,
Yeah. He was a prominent member of the Ku Klux Klan.
of course he was.
In every
Of course he
possible
was. Just why
point.
why
She-
wouldn't he be?
And she's literally doing the same thing as her granddaddy over there. She's just picked the other pixel.
Yeah.
She's
yeah,
no longer
yeah.
about the white race. She's about the black race, even though that she's oh boy, not part of the oppressed Southern Black American slave descendants.
That is just remarkable.
We'll move on from this because we go to the next one here. The things I want to talk about as well were the fact that she mentioned in her interview that, well, of course we need to fight them in the education sphere. They can't get a victory there. Because this woman has not only wasted her life, she has wasted it in the most spectacular way of being the direct descendants of America.
Yeah, yeah. Literally, she is America.
Yeah, if there is mummy America.
Encoded in her genes.
She is down to a T.
God.
And instead, she has spent her life propagating this crap, and brings us full circle back around to that press statement from the White House, because she has achieved in destroying everything that came before in her activism.
Yeah.
And for future generations, as Eric Kaufman correctly identifies in his research, is now always going to be destroyed by the looks of things, unless people like Ron DeSantis do a very good job that they're doing. Here's the deets. So he mentions in here, he thinks that it's the case that the Republicans are going to be unelectable within a generation because of the massive shift that is happening
Yep.
in terms of how Gen Z see things through a critical race theory lens,
Yep.
and it's now measurable. So he says the Financial Chimes showed that younger generations are diverging from older ones by not becoming more Republican as they age. Why might this be? Indoctrination, he speculates.
Yep.
Virtually all over 1,500 18 to 20-year-olds polled had heard of at least 1 in 8 critical social justice terms from adults at school. 90% had heard critical race theory concepts, 74% gender theory concepts. So that's just the prevalence of this. I think we've demonstrated in the past.
Yeah, we know.
This is rampant, so I won't.
For some reason,
Spoil
we
your time
allowed them to educate children.
Yeah. So they mention in here that this indoctrination is working. Children getting lots of critical social justice concepts are far more liberal Democrat than the those getting none.
Yep.
Republican Party ID crashes from 61% to 30%, comparing hearing 0 versus 6+ concepts.
Yeah, because the thing, I don't know whether Eric goes into any of this, but the point of the framing of the concept themselves is to essentially exclude rival worldviews. And so once you start using these concepts, you are committed to a slippery slope that leads you to be essentially a communist.
Very effective as well.
Yeah, they're
you notice here,
incredibly clever.
Look
They
at
knew
that.
what they were doing.
that graph there is about the shift, and you'll notice that it's about having a Republican mother. So of those who have Republican mothers, some will go Democrat, majority go Republican, and then you introduce it to the sample size that have heard about loads of critical
Yeah.
race theory bollocks, and then it equalizes. That's on the Republican side.
Yeah.
The Democrat side is obviously a shift in the other direction.
But I mean, we went through this with the critical race theory stuff that we will talk about in a minute, in fact. They knew what they were doing when they did this. This was all entirely on purpose.
That lady over there, I mean, she's the one who has done this specifically, individually. Like, that's what she spent her life doing. And it couldn't be more comical, because what a person to do it. Like, what on earth? Pupils taught these concepts believe them. Belief in white privilege jumps from 41% to 56%. In gender, as chosen, from 37% to 49%. In US built on stolen land, jumps from 44 to 73%.
I
Stolen
mean,
land.
just the term white privilege explodes the Republican categories on what an American is.
Yep.
This just destroys them.
Young people taught 5 critical race theory concepts are twice as likely to support affirmative action quotas
Of course they are.
against white people, and for whites to feel guilty about their race than those who are taught no critical race theory. I mean, it demonstrably works in the data.
Yeah.
Critical social justice in schools massively increases the fear of being expelled, punished, or shamed, 27%. Not exposed to critical social justice reported fear compared to 68% of those exposed to it.
Yeah.
These are people who are fearing expulsion, shamed, or blah, 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 for being perceived to be racist.
Yes.
So these are children living in constant terror regime
Yes.
over there.
When
Thanks
you-
to
when-
this lady.
When you describe the world in adversarial terms, this is what you get.
Yeah. And remember, it all comes off the backs of people like her, who have the most middle-class upbringing, go to Germany, of all things, come back and pollute the United States, even though their DNA screams USA over there. And they ruined it within a single era. That's all it took. As a consequence of striking fear into pupils, critical social justice, chill speech, the share of non-black pupils saying they were uncomfortable criticizing black classmates increases from 29% to 43% with a heavy exposure.
Yeah.
So just if a black guy says something wrong, no one wants to criticize him anymore. That's a worthwhile system.
Well, that's what we're going to be talking about in segment 2.
Yeah, and he correctly says our results suggest that only government reform of public schools of the kind pioneered by Glenn Youngkin in Virginia and Ron DeSantis in Florida can put a step to progressive indoctrination. And Eric Kaufman.
Yeah.
Yeah, good research. Good way of visualizing it. And I cannot get over, it is obviously absolutely hilarious to see this lady's life flash before her eyes. But her life's work in destroying her own, well, DNA, effectively, as well, and for the communist revolution is effective and, well, has to be confronted. Because I'm not letting someone like that tell us what they do. They don't even know where they're from.
No. And DeSantis and you know anyone who's just banning the teaching of critical race theory, completely correct. The concepts themselves are designed to lead you into a thought pattern which produces the communist revolution. That was explicitly how it was designed.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast The Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the Epoch series, this one on conquering Everest. And if you'd like to find out what else we're putting out, you can follow us on Getter at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.